Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today's video of mine is on a very special subject called as betrayal in love, infidelity, pyar mein dhokha, or betrayal in any kind of a relationship. If you are into a relationship and have experienced any of such things like betrayal, or you have not been reciprocal of love which you have showered on your partner, then this video is meant for you. There are some indications in your chart, in your horoscope, actually in your partner's horoscope, which may indicate that there are chances of deceit, there are chances of non-reciprocity of love which you are giving it to him or her. So today in my video I am going to talk about 12 such indications in your partner's chart which you need to be cautious about, and this video may become handy for you in analyzing or assessing the situation. Ladies and gentlemen, many of us suffer at least one betrayal in our entire lifetime. Betrayal doesn't only break your heart, but it also darkens your soul. A very famous saying by Steve Maraboli goes as below: I am not crying because of you, you are not worth it. I am not crying because of you, you are not worth it. I am crying because of my delusion of who you were was shattered by the truth of who you actually are. Very profound words. So, myself being a practicing astrologer, I only wish that people who are in a serious relationship came to an astrologer before getting into a relationship, so that they could be cautioned against any kind of deceit or any kind of infidelity while they are there in the relationship. So I am going to tell you from an astrological science, from an astro lens, as to what are these 12 indications which, if you come to know about it in your partner's chart, and how it may be a little useful to you in analyzing whether this will be a long lasting relationship, or there are some obstacles and hardships which you will face in times to come. Let's talk about these 12 indications. So the first indication says that there are 12 houses in the horoscope, and each house has its own significance. As far as love affairs is concerned, house number 5, the 5th house in your horoscope, is the most relevant, is the most profound. So in the 5th house, if there is a planet which is retrograde, or if the lord of the 5th house is retrograde, then there are chances of this relationship or this affair becoming unsuccessful. Now, what does retrograde mean? Retrograde means that when a planet starts moving backward rather than its normal trajectory, then such planet, when it becomes retrograde, it gives unsuccessful results. So, for example, in the 5th house, if you have number 6, which is Virgo, the lord of Virgo is Mercury. If Mercury is retrograde in the chart, it is bound to give you an unsuccessful affair. Indication number 2 in your chart: if the lord of the 5th house is placed in the 6th, 8th, or the 12th house, as we all know that the 6th, 8th, and 12th houses are the inauspicious houses in anybody's horoscope. So, if such a situation arises that if the lord of the 5th house is placed in the 6th, 8th, or the 12th house, then that relationship is bound to be unsuccessful. There will be a break in that relationship. The third indication in your chart is that if any malefic planet such as Rahu, Ketu, or Saturn is placed in the 5th house, or Rahu, Ketu, and Saturn has its Poorna Drishti on the 5th house, it will result in the break of this relationship. It will result this relationship as being unsuccessful. Now, the fourth indication is that if Rahu is placed in the 5th house, now I have told you Rahu, Ketu, and Saturn. Now let us go one by one. I'm talking about the fourth indication. If Rahu is placed in the fifth house, Rahu being a malefic planet and that being a devil, it will make your partner go to any extent, any extraordinary extent beyond his capacity, beyond his capability. He will go leaps and bounds to obtain his love. He may even uh, take the any illegal means to obtain the love and attention of the partner. This particular virtue may disappoint the partner. This may end in a relationship. The fifth indication is that if Ketu is placed in the fifth house, Ketu, as we all know, give withdrawal symptoms. It is also the planet which represents Vairagya. It also the planets which represent Sadhutva, Saint, Moksha. So, if Ketu is placed in the fifth house, initially the affair may run successfully, but eventually the partners will get bored of themselves and it may end up in breaking up of this relationship. If Saturn is placed in the fifth house, the relationship will go a long way before it fades away, because Saturn is a Karaka planet for delay. So, it will delay the breaking of the relationship, but it will not be conclusive. It will definitely end up in pain and misery. Now, I will come to the sixth indication. The most important planet which represents love, romance, satisfaction in love, intimacy, physical intimacy, sex, all these things are represented by only one planet in Vedic astrology, and that is Venus. If Venus is debilitated in your chart, especially in the fifth house, so Venus becomes debilitated in Virgo and it is exalted in number 12, mean Rashi, Pisces. So if Venus is debilitated in number 6, that is Virgo, it is a clear-cut indication that there will be loss of marital bliss, or there will be loss of love, and ending the relationship in a negative way, and you will not actually enjoy the relationship. It will have a sad ending. So the position of Venus, the dignity of Venus, even degree wise, is very important in the chart. If it is debilitated in fifth house, it is a clear-cut indication that you will have a nasty ending for the relationship. Now, indication number 7 is that what kind of a person you should be beware about when you are going into a relationship. If you come with a chart to me, if your partner's chart has Rahu in the first house, Rahu being a malefic planet, it creates confusion, it creates suspicion, it gives non-clarity, it gives insecurity. If Rahu sits in the lagna of that person, such people will never tell you the truth. What is in their heart will never come on the tongue, and what they speak is actually never in their heart. I have mentioned about this in my earlier videos also. So if Rahu is placed in the first house in the lagna, it is not a very auspicious placement. Yes, if that Rahu is exalted, if it is sitting in Mithun Rashi or Vrish Rashi, then the case may be different. He may be extremely worldly wise, he may be street smart, he'll be so street smart that he may deceive you. Then Rahu's placement, number 2 placement, Rahu's placement in the fourth house. Such people you should be very careful, because they will never have a clean heart. They will always manipulate things. They will always try to manipulate things. Such people will be of dubious nature. So if Rahu is placed in the lagna of your partner, or if Rahu is placed in the fourth house of your partner, then also this is an indication of an unsuccessful relationship, unsuccessful married life, unsuccessful love affair. Indication number 8, since house number 2 of the Lagna chart also denotes friendship and the quality of friendship, the quality of your friends. If any malefic planet such as Rahu, Ketu or Saturn sit in second house, especially in a debilitated state, then it is a clear-cut indication that this friendship will not last at all. So at one glance, if you want to know that this person will become a good friend to start with, and if the second house is debilitated, then it is not a it's not a very good sign for that. Indication number 9, if Rahu, Ketu and Saturn are in debilitated state in the 5th house, Rahu becomes debilitated in Dhanu Rashi, Ketu becomes debilitated in Gemini, that is in Mithun, and in Vrish Rashi, Saturn becomes debilitated in Mesh Rashi. So, all these three placements in debilitation stage in the 5th house will give an highly unsuccessful affair, highly unsuccessful relationship, and actually there will be no bliss at all. So, this is also a clear cut indication. Point number 10, if in the second house, indication number 10, if in the second house you have good benefic planets such as Jupiter and Mars, but you have malefic planets such as Rahu, Ketu and Saturn in the 5th house, then this is an indication that such people will have good friendship, excellent friendship, but that friendship will not or never turn into a love affair, it will never turn into a relationship, it will never turn into a physical intimacy. They will be like two tracks of a railway line which will run parallel to each other, but they will never meet. So, good planets in the second house will give you good friends, but bad malefic planets in the 5th house will not allow the friendship to go beyond friendship. It will never turn into intimacy, it will never turn into love, romance, or physical intimacy. So, if this is there in your partner's chart, be rest assured that you will remain only as good friends and you will never be partners for life. And if you have, if in the partner's chart, if there are benefic planets in the second house but malefic planets in the 5th house, especially with Venus debilitated, we do not engage yourself beyond friendship with such people. Indication number 11, if Venus aspects Mars with its 7th drishti, or Mars aspects Venus with its 4th, 7th, 8th or 12th drishti, or if Venus and Mars are in conjunction with each other, conjunction also should be less than 10 degrees. If that is such a strong conjunction, then this person will have a very strong sexual desire and he would like to have physical intimacy with more than one partner. Any person who would like to have intimacy with multiple partners will never be loyal to you. He will never be loyal to you. So, such a combination of Venus and Mars conjunction in your chart, and with few more combinations of Venus being debilitated and Rahu, Ketu and Saturn also having drishti on the 5th house, will also result in a disaster. It will also result in a high degree of dissatisfaction in your relationship or in your marriage. Lastly, if Rahu is placed in the 3rd house of your Lagna chart or your Navansh chart, what is the 3rd house? The 3rd house is the house of speech and communication. If Rahu sits in the 3rd house, in the house of speech and communication, then such person, he or she will have a very, very rude tone, rude speech and communication. There will be no sweetness. So, every time you would like to start a dialogue, your partner will pull you down by the rudeness in her speech, the rudeness in his or her his speech. They would never allow you to speak, they would rather demotivate you, and if this continues for over a while, then this will never convert into a successful relationship. So, beware of this, that 3rd house Rahu, especially in a debilitated stage, for example, Dhanu Rashi Rahu in 3rd house, very bad speech and communication, very rude speech and communication, or Rahu sitting in Mesh Rashi in the Rashi of Mangal. And when Rahu sits in 3rd house, eventually it will aspect 7th house with its 5th drishti. Rahu aspecting 7th house itself shows that there will be very highs and lows in the marital life of that person. If Venus is exalted, it will save the marriage. If Jupiter is exalted, it will save the marriage. But Rahu in the 3rd house in the debilitated state, looking at the 7th house, will definitely cause lot of dissatisfaction in the relationship. So, ladies and gentlemen, these were the 12 indications in your horoscope which prove and which show, as per Vedic astrology, that relationships may not be successful if such combinations of planets exist, if such combinations of malefic planets in the 5th house exists. I sincerely hope that this video of mine would be of some use to you, especially of people who are in relationship, young people who are in relationship. I hope you have liked my video. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do that. Channel's name is Astro Know Me, and in case you require any horoscopic analysis or consultation, then I'm available at 9742881188. You can send me your accurate birth details, time of birth, place of birth, and day of birth on the WhatsApp, and I'll be able to analyze it within few hours and get back to you for a paid consultation. Thank you so much for watching my video. Till we meet again, keep safe, be happy, and a very goodbye to all of you.